What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. Apologize for the glare, as always. We're gonna be working on the Drift V 2005 Cadillac CTS-V drift car. At LS Fest, we had an issue where the clutch pedal was sticking to the floor. Now, that issue, I believe, was from the clutch master cylinder that's in this car that could very well be the original clutch master cylinder with 238,000 miles on it. I don't know, but basically the clutch is getting stuck to the floor. I'll put a clip in here. You can see on the run up, the car just dies because it gets stuck to the floor until the RPMs come down. I shift when I go first to second. When I go second to third, it does the same thing. By that point, there's no point. So let me show you what I got to hopefully remedy the issue so that we will be ready to go in 3 weeks for Fuel Fest Atlanta. If you are attending Fuel Fest in Atlanta, make sure you come say what's up. We'll be there with the X-Comp Tires guys, and the car will be in their booth and we will be drifting all day long. And then from there, we're gonna be heading up north for Haunted Moves at the end of October, or it's the first weekend of November. So we're gonna be going up north for a few weeks, hit up Haunted Moves, my favorite Club Loose event of the year. And then, yeah, so let me jump in here and we'll get started. So I got this secondhand from somebody doing a part out, and it is the Jason Baker Philistine, whatever it may be, you guys know. Jason Baker clutch master cylinder. So what Jason does is he makes these adapter pieces so that you can run a Willwood clutch master on a V1. Now, this is his very first rendition, which he was saying has been greatly improved, but I got this secondhand from somebody, so we're gonna work with what we got. But basically, it has all the pieces you need to run this Willwood in the car. His new version, which I guess I'll start by saying the clutch master cylinders in these cars, they push in and they like twist in and lock in place. So this kit has a lock ring, so it just sits flush up against the firewall, and then you screw this lock ring in to get it into place. Whereas the new ones, he was able to recreate that push and twist lock. So the updated version is a better design. So Google Jason Baker clutch master cylinder. If you guys are interested, you can shoot him an email. But this is what we got, and it comes with a cap and line that goes to a reservoir, and then a -4AN line to feed our slave cylinder. So this will hopefully be the fix for this, and it also makes it a serviceable part. If you know, Willwood master cylinders are easy to get and pretty reliable. So my issue that I ran into, and this is something that Jason has since fixed, his new kits include a Heim joint on the end here. All right, let me explain. When I got this was pretty ovaled out, and he said you can still run it, you might just hear some clicking when you press the clutch pedal. So I'm like, okay, you know, we'll try and get past that. Now he includes a Heim joint. So I was trying to find a Heim joint myself, and this is a 5/16 thread, but this is a 7/16 hole, and I could not for the life of me find a Heim joint rod end that had a 7/16 bore with a 5/16 thread. Usually the thread matches the whole bore. So what I ended up doing was taking the ovaled out hole and kind of rounding it out the best I could with a carbide tipped, like a carbide tool on the Dremel, to then press in to about a 1/2 inch. Then I pressed in a 1/2 inch to 7/16 sleeve. Now it didn't end up being a perfect circle, so what I'm gonna do is go try this on the car. And then if that slips on and we're good, then you know we're good to proceed. So I will say, mounting these on the car is pretty difficult. It is hard to get under your dash to remove your the rod on the pedal. However, on the Drift V, I quickly realized I was actually about to pull my seat out, but then I quickly realized, let me see what I can see. So without this side panel on, I'm actually able to, right through here, see the clutch rod, and I was able to lay my phone down with the flashlight on and pop the factory rod off. So really all the work I need to do is now under the engine bay, which we'll show you. So I'll include a picture here of what it looks like. You can see where the clutch rod attaches, where it comes through. There's the clutch switch, and we'll unplug that and all that. But now what I'm gonna do is try and see if this will fit over the shaft that the clutch pedal rides on. And if it does, we're gonna go through with it, and maybe down the line, we'll upgrade to one of Jason's Heim joint ends. All right, so I'm heading to the store real quick, the hardware store, because I want to pick up a spring washer, like a wave washer, whatever you call them, because I saw some places that some guys were putting these master cylinders on their car, and they were doing these spring washers, and they were doing it in between the pedal and the rod end, or whatever you want to call it. And basically what it was doing was preventing any excessive side-to-side play with the rod end on the stud, if you want to call it that. And it kept a little tension on it up against the clip that holds it in place. That way, when you press the pedal down, there's no side-to-side movement, and you know, the potential for any kind of noise or anything like that. So I'm going to go to the store and hopefully find what I need to find, and then we'll go back. I will start taking the stock master cylinder out of the car, and now that I know that little sleeve modification that I did will work, I will just move forward with it. But I feel like once I put it on, it might not want to come back off. So we're just gonna play it safe, get all the things we need, and be prepared. So back out here in the garage, like I said, we're all set underneath. But now it's a matter of accessing the clutch master. So here's our reservoir right here. You think, oh, it has to be close by, right? Well, here goes the line and then it disappears. It is down there. So what I'm gonna try and do here, I think my plan of attack is gonna be to pull the wiper blade off. And once the wiper blade's off, then I will pull this wiper cowl off. And if I can get that cowl piece off, that'll give me some room to, one, I'm gonna take this bolt out that is holding the reservoir in place. Take that out, move it over the way. And then I'm going to disconnect this hose here. And what else? I think from there, figure out my plan of attack. I need to take the reservoir here off, and I believe it is only held in by this bolt here, and then I think this bolt here. No, that's just holding the cowl on, I think. Yeah, oh, there might be a bolt down lower. So I'm gonna start with the cowl, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now we are closer to having some access. If we follow the line, you can see that's the silver cylinder down there. That is our clutch master. So now I'm gonna try and go down and twist it and see if we can get any kind of movement on it and see what happens. All right, we got it loose. Let's see if we can start making some headway getting it out. I actually had to disconnect the line from the clutch master. It was getting jammed up on the booster. So underneath, there's this little clip that holds the line into the bottom. So pop that clip out, pop the clutch line off, then you'll be able to spin it enough. But now I just gotta figure out what's getting caught up underneath here. I feel like the clutch switch might have to come off first, so I'm gonna have to investigate that further. Oh, let's see, let's pull her out. Minimize dripping. Let's get our drain pan. All right, so this has been replaced. FTE, that is an aftermarket. I mean, I figure there's probably no way that this thing could have gone 238,000 miles without actually needing replacement. So I'm gonna try and figure out how to pull this clutch switch off of here. I don't know if we're gonna use it. I guess we will. I would like to see if there's a way I can jump the pins. Ah, I see. Is it? See, I would have done this under the car. All right, so to remove your clutch switch, check this out. You'll see this under the car. You got to pinch here and push. Voila. And then it should lift out like that and then pop off of the shaft like so. Okay, so we got the Willwood installed down here. We got our dash 4 line hooked up to the end right there, routed under the brake booster, and then it joins our, this is my battery tender cable, so ignore that, but it joins our clutch slave line right here. Usually this line, I think, sits like down real further, but just to keep it away from the heat of the exhaust, I have it routed up, and then it meets up here on the firewall, just to keep everything out of the way. I kind of have everything that usually sits down there closer to the headers up higher behind the engine. So that's there. Last time I did the clutch, I had the speed bleeder. This is gonna come in handy this time because I didn't bench bleed this master just because of kind of how difficult it would have been. So this guy is just gonna get submerged into a cup of fluid, and we're gonna pump away until we start getting some pedal feel, and then we'll do a proper bleed on this system afterwards. But then one of the final steps in the engine bay is our, like the feed for the reservoir, this guy that goes on the master, and then we have our new reservoir here. Now this being a red line instead of the black, it's a little easier to see when it goes down into the abyss, but it basically just goes there, and this guy just pops on there. There's an O-ring gasket, so it just sits on like that. And it routes up and it will attach right here. Does this get moved? Yeah, this get moved back, so then we should be good. Perfect. There won't be any weird tension on it or anything like that. Fill it up. I'm just gonna put some .3 in it now for the sake of bleeding, but on our final bleed, I'll do a fluid exchange with some good .4, like racing fluid, some Redline or Motul, whatever it may be. Find a spot to it. Usually I have like the wiper cowl to like rest things on, but it is not in the car at the moment. So basically what I'm gonna do here is just give it a few pumps, and let me show you the inside. All right, so looking up in here, you can see this is the style with the retaining ring and the 3 set screws. I got 1 set screw in because that's what I was able to reach with the tool here that I have, but I ordered a single 5/64 Allen tool so that I can get the other 2. Then up here, my sleeve ended up working. I ended up having to hit it with a Dremel a little bit on the inside with like some, like a sanding tip, and it went on snug, and I put a little clip on the end. I threw some lube on there as well, just because it's like metal to metal and just try and keep it clean. But there are no clicks or any weird noises, and it certainly pumps. So that's a good sign there. We were able to salvage this old kit. Now the new kits, like I mentioned, do not have the set screws. It screws in like the factory one where it clips into the firewall. So, you know, in the future, if this ever gives me any issues, I'll probably make the jump. Now, clutch switch. I'm gonna look into trying to do a clutch switch bypass. So the plug is up there, and I think if I jump 2 wires together, I should be able to have the car think that the clutch is pressed in at all times. So if I can do that, I'm going to, because I like being able to start the car without actually being in it and not having to get into the seat and then press the clutch and then start the car. So we'll try to do a little clutch switch deal there. But right now, what I'm gonna do is just pump this guy by hand, and then I think it already took all the fluid. Basically just pump it and wait until we eventually start. Actually didn't take any fluid. I guess I gotta open the bleeder. So I'll get a cup, I'll put some brake fluid in it, I'll submerge the bleeder completely, And then from there, you know, we'll kind of start the bleed process and make sure there's no leaks and hopefully start moving some fluid through the system. So here we have the reservoir, and we actually have bubbles coming up now that the bleeder's open, so that's a good sign. And then we have a cup, got the full fitting submerged there. And yeah, so now give it a couple pumps and see if we can start moving some fluid. Judging by the bubbles just naturally coming up to the top here, I think we're gonna have some luck. All right, so for about 20 minutes now, I've just been pumping and trying to move fluid, and I am finally starting to get some fluid moving through the reservoir, but look at all this junk fluid, dark fluid. So this is a couple, all right, I say a couple, but this is like a season of events. But also, I think that master cylinder, my fluid would get dark like this and just get nasty. And I've put 2 slaves in the car since finishing it. And so the slave, so basically from that union down there, all the way to the slave, and then the remote bleeder was all new stuff. And I would always get this dark fluid. And I kind of just started to assume that it was coming from this master. So I don't really know if there's any truth behind that or not, but we're gonna get all that crappy fluid flushed out. So I think I'm kind of to the point though where I'm gonna need a second body. So tomorrow we'll have to recruit Morgan to do some pedal pumping, and I'll close off the bleeder and we'll do a traditional style bleed tomorrow. Now that I'm actually starting to move some fluid, I probably did about 2 reservoirs worth through the master. So now we'll do a proper like pressure bleed where she'll pump 10 times, we'll build pressure, we'll bleed it out of the speed bleeder or the remote bleeder, and then we'll just repeat that process until we get some good fluid flowing through. We'll get some .4 in there, and then once we stop seeing air bubbles, we'll cap it, we'll take it for a test drive, and we'll hope for the best. So pretty much I'm gonna wrap it up here. This, you know, aside from the bleeding process, which is straightforward, this was honestly not that bad. So I anticipated it to be way worse. Now I think part of the reason why it was easier for me is because I don't have an interior, because it's a race car. So I was able to see and access the clutch rod. But like, honestly, I think if you took off your lower dash and you took this side piece right here out, I don't think on a factory car you would really have much blocking you. I mean, I have the roll cage. I'm trying to remember if there was anything else that would have been in the way, but I think, you know, right through here is like your access point to see, and then you just need a light up there, and then you just reach your hands up and you do what you got to do. So I know a lot of people were saying that they removed their seats and they're laying under there, and I think if you just use that little access hole to see, you don't need to be like laying on your floor to do this job. And if you buy Jason Baker's newer kit, you don't have to worry about that screw-on ring. Sorry, it's raining outside. You don't have to worry about buying that screw-on ring and then those set screws. It's as easy as just popping in the new one and hooking it up to your clutch rod. So, I mean, that part is pretty straightforward. So the rest is just bleeding it, and then, you know, you got the kit, the setup down here. And looking at it, I mean, if I had to, I could probably replace the Willwood Master without actually removing the adapter piece. And I mean, it all worked out. Now we got a -4 line going to our slave, which I know some people even run stock slaves, but then they upgrade to a -4 line. So that's that. But otherwise, I would probably just say that this really isn't a bad install, and hopefully worth it in the end. You know, the ultimate goal is that we won't run into the issue we ran into at LS Fest, and Fuel Fest in 3 weeks will be our test for that. So this car is pretty much ready to go for Fuel Fest. We just need to mount some tires. We had the X-Comp tires coming this week sometime, and then we'll be mounting them this weekend, and then we'll be loading the trailer up and then just getting everything ready. And then, yeah, we got to do the Escalade prep. I have some parts coming in for that before we do the road trip and all of that. So I want to show you guys something neat that I kind of figured out with the Escalade, but I think tonight I'm just gonna leave this reservoir open and then leave the line submerged in case any more fluid, any air, you know, gravity bleeds or burps out, whatever it may be. And then, like I said, once Morgan's on the pedal, we will put some .4 in here and do like plenty of bleeding to basically get a full fluid exchange to get that .3 that I was just using, just because the .3 stuff is cheap. So for doing like that initial bleed, we're good. So yeah, so quick run through before I wrap up the video, because I know this will help out some of you guys. Off the rip, when you get started, take out your wiper cowl, pull the plastic wiper cowl out, then 2 bolts, 1, 2, and a plug for your wiper motor. Pull the wiper mechanism out. That buys you all this space. Move this guy. Some people were saying they had to move their booster, like rotate it, whatever. I didn't touch it. When you finally get, you disconnect the clutch line from the bottom of the slave, and then once that's disconnected, you can rotate it out and it won't hit your booster. When you rotate it out, you want to rotate it to the right. Then you want to tilt it downward, let it fall, like we did earlier in the video. Let it fall down, and then repeat the process. Put it back in, put your new stuff back in, and you should be good to go. This guy, I'm gonna tuck that back in, the heat shield, and fix that back up where it needs to go, but relatively easy project. I kind of allotted like tonight and like 2 other partial nights this week to do this project, and we knocked it out in one night, other than the rest of the bleed process. So fingers crossed it all works out, but not too bad. Jason Baker, the Philistine Clutch Master, Willwood Clutch Master. Check him out on the forums and whatnot. And on the CTS-V One versus the World page, he's on there, and you can find all the info and how to email him to order it and all that jazz. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope this video was helpful for some of you. I know there wasn't a ton out there, but I hope that little trick looking through the dash is also going to help you guys out, so you don't have to think, you're pulling your seats out off the bat. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. If it was, hit the like button, drop a comment, do all that stuff, subscribe, whatever. And I will see you guys in the next one with an exciting announcement. That was a big thunder crash. I'm gonna wrap it up here before I lose power. See you guys in the next one.